everyone, it's really good to see you all. So in today's video, we are going to talk all about resume. So it often happens that everyone is telling something about resume, but I thought that let's just make each and every point by defining how you can actually add that. And in this, I have covered almost all the things which you need to add in your resume in order to get it sorted for your further rounds. As the placement season is here, so let's make the resume and then just look how fun it is. So let's get started. So the very first thing which you have to add in your resume is the about section. That is your address, your phone number, your email and so on. So yeah, this is the random thing which you have to add. So this is the first thing which you have to add in your resume. Moving on to the second one, you can add this or you can skip this. It is not very important. It's just a simple one line of introduction to you and one line of thing which define you, like why that company hired you. So this is that thing only. So if you want to do this, you can do this. Otherwise, you can skip this. And yeah, it's totally up to you. So this is very important section. You have to add this education section, and there you can mention that from which college you graduated from, what are your branch, and so many different things. You can also mention you have studied from which school and so on for your 10th and 12th. So you can mention that. Later on, you can move ahead and add this particular section, and that is relevant courses. So if you want, you can mention that you have done data structures, algorithm, OOPS and so on, because it helps the interviewer to know that you are having a sound knowledge of these particular things, and this is what required for any company who is focusing for STE jobs. So you can add this, and I'm telling for those people who are actually not from IT related branches, do add this particular thing, because if you are not from computer science, data science and so on, different technical fields or electrical, obviously, if you are from non-circuital branch, do add these things, because that helps to your resume to get some keywords that is actually required for SDE companies to shortlist you, which include this data structures, algorithm, OOPS and so on. So if you mention that in your resume, if the resume got into some AI related filtering also, then if these particular keywords are there, then it's almost the chance that you are going to crack that particular AI filtering process. Now, let's move ahead and talk about this. That is, this is the very important section in anyone's resume, because what are the skills which you have acquired in the past years which helpful for you as well as the company in order to move ahead with you. So obviously you can mention it like you have programming knowledge, like you are proficient in this particular programming languages, and what are the different web technologies you already know, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, as well as these days Next.js is very demanding, and if you know Next.js, Tailwind, CSS, you can mention that particular thing, and it's going to boost your resume compared to the others, and you are going to stand out. So do try to track what are the different technologies that are very high in demand. Add that particular thing in your skills. And obviously later on you can also mention the database management thing, that is MySQL and SQL and so on. And also you can add these particular points if you want, obviously, and if you have other things to add, just to add. So these things, if you mention these things, like you know strong problem solving skills, like if you have this and you have an ability to work in team and so on, or if you have excellent communication, if these points you can mention, it's going to make very clear that what are the different skills you already have. This is the only thing any interviewer wants, and at the same time in an actual interview you are going to evaluate it on the same thing. So don't just mention anything and everything which you don't know. As I remember in my resume, in one of my interviews, while I'm having that, I have mentioned some programming language which I had learned, obviously, but because I have learned that before 2-3 semesters and it's not very demanding and very known, So obviously I have lost the practice and track of that particular programming languages. And when I go to the interviewer only asked me about that particular programming language. And yeah, I was able to tell some bit of it, but not everything. So it's a very big no. Like, if I didn't mention that particular thing in my resume, it's going to help the interviewer to not ask that question because it's not there, right? So if you don't know anything about the thing you have mentioned in your resume, to erase that. Just delete that. I'm telling you for sure. It's okay to add less in your resume, but it's not okay to add more and at the end not knowing about that. So it's a very big no. Add the thing, and if you have mentioned something, just do try have some track of it, like have some knowledge of it, so that if the interviewer is going to ask you about it, you can able to reply. Now moving ahead and talking about the project. So this is very important. So in one of my latest video, I have talked about what are the different type of projects which you can add in your resume, and it's going to make your resume very standard. And by this I mean that you can categorize what are the different things you've done as a college project, what are the different things which you have done as web development, what are the things you have done in the open source project section, and also if you have some idea about game development and so on, you can add that. So by sectioning out all the different things, it actually helps the interviewer to get to know that you have the knowledge of so many different domains which are very demanding nowadays. Like if a person just write project section and then didn't mention that, for example, if a person is mentioning project section and there he or she have written 5 projects but not mention which project related to which particular domain or category, and at the same time there's another person who have also done 5 projects, but at the same time in the resume that particular person has mentioned very clearly that it is the project of web development, it is the project of open source, it's the project of my own learning and so on, my course and so on. So this is very important. So just make your resume standard, because this is the only thing which the interviewer have about you. So just make it as perfect as you can. And it's very important to take time to invest to make very, very unique and standing out resume. Moving on, this is the very important section which you can add in your resume, that is the achievement section. And here you can add that, let's suppose if you have done any open source contribution or if you have participated in it, you can mention that. And if you have hold some place there, if you got some ranking or so many different things like some hoodies or some achievement award and so on, so you can just mention here. And here, not only that particular thing, you can also add your coding profiles. Let's suppose you have solved 400 questions on LeetCode. You can mention that in the achievement section. If you have win some hackathon and so on, you can add that particular in the achievement section. So it's very important to add LeetCode profile, HackerRank profile, GFG profile and so on. So just add that, because it shows that you have continuously practicing about the problems, and at the same time it just reflects that whatever you have done, you have mentioned that, and it's very clear, because the other person is totally unknown to you and he or she is only going to know you by your resume. So the more information you provide, the more easier it will make your path to actually crack that particular interview, that particular round and so on. Moving ahead, now talking about this. So here in extracurricular activities, you can add the which is not very related to technical things. Obviously, if you have in college now, we have so many different fests going on. We do so many different things and different steps. We also play, we go inter IITs or we go inter colleges to play and so on. So you can add that particular thing. Or if you a club member or a core team member of some programming club, if you have organized some fest, all the things. Here you can see that all the leadership work you have done, all the extracurricular thing which you have done in your college apart from the coding and so on. What are the different leadership tag you are holding? What are the different teamwork you have done in your college? You can add that particular in this particular section. And at the end, if you want, you can add this. So let's suppose if you're applying for a foreign company, for instance, if there is a Japanese company in your college, and if you have mentioned that you know English, obviously almost everyone know English, but if you have added like you know Japanese, you just know it a little bit, it's okay, but you have mentioned it, and if you have actually interested in that, you have learned that, right? So you can mention this particular thing. It's not very important, but at the same time, if you're applying for foreign countries which uses English, as everyone uses English, but if you add their language as well in your resume, then it's going to be very helpful and also make you stand out from the others. So this is the overall things and sections which you can add in your resume. Now let's go ahead and look how your resume actually looks like. So let's suppose I, Zlozie Code, is going to make my resume. So this is the thing which I had put in my resume. So firstly the address, then objective. It's totally optional. If you want, you can add. If you want to skip, just skip. It's very simple. Then you can add your education section. Later on, you can add the skills, and after that, you can add the projects. And here in this particular project section, do try to add the thing that it is related to web development, it is related to open source, or it is related to game development and so on. And game development is very easy, and at the same time, it's very helpful because if you have done some game development stuff, you can make it available on Google Play Store, and then you have a very workable link which you can show to the interviewer, and it's very impressive. So you can try it out. It's just an idea which you can follow apart from web development, game development, machine learning and so on. So you can do that. Later on, you can add the achievement section. So I have not put each and everything because the spaces are limited, but you can split it like this, and then half of the part goes here, half of the part goes here, and by this you can just optimize your resume, and at the same time you can put each and every information that you wanted to give, and that can be useful for you to get selected in any company. So this is an overall overview of how you can add or make your resume, and at the same time not only make your resume but make it in a form that it's very different from others, whatever they are doing. And lastly, one very important point is that whenever you are mentioning any project, just do try to add any clickable link there. So just host your project on GitHub and try to attach that particular link on GitHub. If you are working on a website, you can almost most of us use Netlify to host it for free, and then obviously you can use that link to add in your resume, because once your resume got to the interviewer will have able to see and click to your projects, which is very impressive, and it's a must right now because everyone is doing that, and if you're not doing that, you are like in the very back on the line of getting selected. So yeah, this is very important, so keep that in mind. And yeah, this is it. If you have any question and suggestion related to this particular video, please do comment it out, and also do write how was the video and what the information you gained from it. And this is it for this video. Do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.